Hold on. Okay. What if I do this? It's a little better, yeah? Okay. Hello? Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hello? Is anybody there? How do I? Hello? Oh no. I think it's doing that thing it does. Wait! Hi! Oh, your message all just came in really fast. Okay, you guys have been here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you. Okay. Hi! Hello, everyone. I'm here with a check-in. We need to know what's really going on. So, if you've been having time, don't worry. I'm here. Let's figure out what it is that we have all been missing. First things first. Well, that's going to be a problem. Okay. Page of Cups, Six of Swords, a new phase, the end of a difficult situation. But I don't know why I can't stop staring at it and getting Tower, so I don't think that the change was easy. I think that the new season we're coming into, even getting into it is going to be an uphill battle for some reason. Yeah, we have to do what we know is right. That's the only way that we're going to bring balance to the situation. We have to be able to access and tap into our gifts. And I'm talking about DM and DF here. This is this is a season that offers great reward, but also has a lot of challenges, especially up front, which personally I prefer that. What about you? Do you prefer it to be like a nice steady challenge, or do you prefer to get it all out of the way first like me? And Seven of Cups. Okay. Yeah, I'm really getting this very strong Tower energy. And I think that it's trying to tell us the procrastination has caused this issue. Now, here's where it gets tricky when we're talking about twin flames. It might not just be talking about your procrastination. In fact, your procrastination might be a couple things, whereas the energy that you're attached to in terms of your divine masculine, it's a lot, okay? And if we're thinking about the analogy of the climbing up the mountain or, the hill or whatever, and you consider them almost like a boulder that you have to pull up by a rope at your waist, you're just like trying to trudge step by step up there while they're just like hanging in the back, which is what the journey can seem like sometimes. That just adds to it. That just makes it more complicated. So this says that to make it easier on yourself, keep doing what you can to get it together, but also give yourself a little bit of grace because this is not a normal life that you're living. Our journey is very unique. There's a lot of stuff that's very similar to the world around us, but there's also a lot that has more weight to it, that is more complex and requires us to be a lot more than just the bigger person or just, focus here or do this or do that like maybe a typical person would. It reminds me of the journey that the neurodivergent person faces against the neurotypical person, where it's sometimes hard to even explain if you have ADHD or something, right? Or autism or something. And you're trying to tell someone who doesn't have it. And they're just like, well, why don't you just do this? It's the same thing with the twin flame journey, right? It's like, well, why don't you just do this? Well, it doesn't work like that, So there are going to be some things that you have to weigh and measure for yourself and say, okay, is this me or my person or not? We've gotten better at that, right, over time. But also, is this something that I should be giving my energy to if it is my person, if it is something that feels unsolvable? That is going to be really important on your path forward. Your path forward in this season has a lot to do with how you have been handling things in the past, because that was a massive training season. In fact, it seems like it was multiple seasons of training all in one for this new opening. Okay, let's see. And there it is. So yes, I mean, we're absolutely on a new path. That's not going to change no matter what we talk about today. I want you to have a little bit of faith in the fact that things are going to be different. Okay? But I also want you to prepare yourself for the fact that the way we have always been trained to see new beginnings and fresh starts and all this is very, like, fantastical. And this is real life. Like, it's going to be a bit different. This is not just your spiritual awakening or your spiritual side. This is a lot. So the good news is the divine masculine is also going to experience that. All right. The bad news is obviously it's not this some fairy tale or something, or I think that this is actually going to be stuff that affects your physical world. But I think knowing that the divine masculine has been given kind of a push. And I think that for them, it's because of the failures that they've had along the way. So it's not even just like a divine push, like, here, go do it. This is, I think, even within them, they're frustrated, they're over it, they want new, they want fresh, they want different. And this time when they see it, they're going to grab it. That's important. All right. What do we need to understand about this that we haven't considered yet? The moon. There are some things going on behind the scenes here. But I feel like I felt called to the idea of our gifts, and this is important psychic insights. I think that that idea of we could call it faith over fear, right? I think the idea of our belief in what we've been given by the universe or whatever you believe in, that has to really stand firm now. And if you have noticed that the last couple of years you have felt more in tune with your gifting, I want you to know that is not an accident, and it's not just because you stumbled upon it. You've actually been in this, I mean, serious, deep training season. It wasn't clear because it didn't really make sense. It's one thing if you're given like a syllabus and they're like, this is what you're going to be doing this semester. And you kind of know, okay, I don't know this. My goal is to know this, and this is the process to get there. That didn't happen for you. It was just kind of like life was lifing, right? Things were happening around you. You were supposed to figure it out. You're supposed to deal with it. And you had no idea that all of it was actually about increasing your abilities. Now, the issue comes in when we're thinking about the divine masculine, okay? Because now it says, well, what is happening for them? What, that's where the events behind the scenes and also kind of fears stand out here. I will say that I think that they view their gifting a little bit differently. They're a little bit more oblivious to it than we are, and they don't honor it as much. But what I will notice, if you'll see this with me, is we've got two major arcana cards in the divine space. This is not an accident. There is a lot of big energy coming. I will also say, based on our annual forecast, this season, and I really should say this month right now, is a massive time for reunion. We were building up to this throughout the early part, and now we're here in this. I mean, if you just go look at the astrology for the month, take away your twin flame journey, take away your circumstances, The astrology is very, very supportive of love, coming together, partnerships, all that. Okay. All right. Let's look at the spirit. Oh, I need to split this. So we have the Seven of Cups as a sync, and I think this is trying to tell us something. What we are needing to change, what we're needing to do, getting our ducks in a row is a really, really big part of this season. But the Knight of Pentacles coming in and saying, make it count. Take everything that you have known for a long time you've wanted to do, especially over the past few years that you've been trying to do this or that. We all have different goals, right? We all have different reasons behind things. And sometimes we don't even realize that. Okay, for instance, you say you want to go clean out your garage. You want to clean out your closet. And you just think it's a thing, right? It's a thing people do. It's a thing people talk about. Oh, it's springtime, spring cleaning, all these different reasons, right? But what if there's actually some bigger thing behind it? So if there's the book you've wanted to write, the project you have, the job change, like whatever it is, the last few years that you've kind of had in the back of your head, but you really haven't made a move on, or you almost felt like you were kind of being pushed away from it. But no, I'm going to be real. This comes across as like, no, I was just tired. I was just tired. So I want you to really think about that. Where were you just like kind of tired, kind of exhausted? Just, it was always on your mind. It was always there, but it was also just kind of like, oh my gosh. Because that is the thing divine wants you to understand, is almost like, I can't tell if it's a final test. It doesn't really feel like a testing. It almost feels more like the key. It's like the final step to get through the threshold. Focusing and figuring out how to actually do the thing that's going to bring joy to your soul. So, I wonder what that is for divine masculine. This could be important for some of our King of Pentacles DMs, or DMs who they're either really focused on money or really focused on accomplishing some specific thing, especially where they use that as a way to avoid relationships, right? Oh, I'm not ready to be with you until I do this thing. Those divine masculines, I believe, are going to be more focused on actually making it happen instead of just talking about it. So you'll notice if you're in any kind of contact, or if you can kind of see them on social media, you will notice in those divine masculines who are taking this seriously that they finally have a plan. Again, it's not just a thing they're saying. It's like they're like, this is how it's going to be done. So here we have some big changes ahead for everyone, but the spiritual ramifications are really something we have yet to begin to understand. Okay. The Queen, when we combine this with what we just saw, it's pointing me to that 18, to that things going on behind the scenes energy. I think that spiritually speaking, this is going to sound weird, but I feel like some of you are going to be like, confirmation. It seems as if the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes for us, or I should say in the spiritual space for us, especially where we feel like we've been failing, we've been missing out, we've been messing up, we've been slipping, we haven't been doing what we're supposed to do yet. So we have that, like that perspective, right? But we also have this weird feeling like our gifts are awakening more, we're paying more attention to it. I feel like this is all trying to tell us and to get our attention and say, if you can do that, like for real around this time, there is that key. It is a key, you guys. Both of them are holding something important. It's telling us this will be the toll that gets you through. Whatever was supposed to happen, or whatever we needed to be ready for, or whatever, for some reason it's coming together to make it make sense in a time where it almost feels like it's not going to matter. There's a little bit of a heaviness in this reading already. I mean, the cards aren't so bad. They're not great, but they're not terrible either. But it's almost like, no, I'm tired. It's coming up again. I'm just exhausted. And the world around me is exhausting. And I'm finding trouble, looking for the things that are going to make me breathe life into my atmosphere. Well, this is telling us something. This is saying there is a inner balance that's coming through to help us on our journey. And I'm seeing like earth and water. I'm seeing feminine and masculine. I'm seeing all these different things. And that takes me back to that. Oh my goodness. It was the 8. So that was the strength card. And it was telling me, actually, in this card, it was or this deck, it's justice, right? Interesting. So justice under the 8, and it was with the 6 of swords. And there was something in me that was like, it is very, very important to just do what you know is right, to not give up, because that's the only way to find balance. That's what I sensed. And now I'm getting this feeling here that's saying, you can't see it, but spiritually you can feel it. And it's actually very frustrating, because it's like, I I can look around me, and if I just give into what the world is showing me, what my journey's showing me, what my divine masculine's up to, all that, it's very easy for me to be like, what am I even doing? Who cares? I give up. But there is something inside you that it almost like shouldn't be there. You don't really know why it's there. You don't know why it exists. That is like almost like it's doing the puzzle for you internally. This is trying to display that to us right now. Okay, hold on. It's like our spirit is having compassion on us. And then the King of Swords. This is about bringing us the confidence to finally do the thing. Now, this again is pointing to both feminine and masculine, both of us having the desires to be different, to finally achieve the thing, to finally feel like life is on our side, to experience things in a way we always knew we were meant to. Now, it feels strange that at such a time as this, where things are so overwhelming around us, this is when, and it's like, oh my gosh, I think we're finally getting it. Oh, spirit, wow. It's like, I think we're finally starting to understand, this is what I created you for. This is why I designed your journey this way. Like, we're starting to get this message of, oh, I am meant to shine when it's darkest. The darkness before the dawn. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay, okay. So this is about helping us to access a more confident point of view so that we can actually achieve the things that we're meant to achieve, both feminine and masculine together. Very, very interesting spiritual check-in. Oh, wow. I mean, we have the Fool and then the 10 of Pentacles. This is trying to communicate something to us. We're reaching a point where we're almost at fullness. And it has been quite some time since many of us felt this way. You might not have felt this way for like 3, 4, 5, 6, for some years. Okay. But the weirdest thing about it is nothing in your life would tell you that right now, that you're about to reach this point. But what's interesting is it's like, well, Grace, what if I feel like I'm at the end of my rope? And it's like, ooh, maybe you're supposed to let go. And the end of the rope, and to us in the moment, is scary, right? Because it's like, oh no, this is the last little bit. But it's almost like divine was like, I designed the length of the rope to where just when you needed to fall into the right thing, you would be able to let it go. So if you see it from the physical, it's terrifying. If you see it from the spiritual, it's perfection. Okay, what are we missing? Now, I'm not surprised to see this because the devil's in the details. And I think what this tells us is what's going to try to block this for everyone, feminines and masculines, is the scariness, the darkness. I've been sitting here talking about this dichotomy in our lives between all the good things that honestly either feel far away, or in some cases you might not even feel like you want certain things anymore. Like there's a lot here in the positive that, because of how the world feels right now, it's kind of like, but then on the other side, it's almost like, but I don't want this either. Like, I don't want the devil energy. I don't want the darkness. I don't want my ego to rule or rule anymore. And I feel like this is telling us the divine masculine feels the same way. And this has been building, this energy has been building for about a year now. So it's very interesting. Think about where you were last year this time. Ooh, oh goodness, I wouldn't even want to get into that. All right, let's look at divine feminine. This is upside down. Hold on. We have 9 of Cups. So there's our confirmation of getting things in order. 3 of Pentacles. This is the starting over point and us being willing to go into something in spite of the fact that we've been working so damn hard. It's like I have been working my butt off, especially in the spirit, but it's also been affecting me in the physical because where, let's say the average person, it's kind of like when they talk about women having the second shift, where um, when you leave your job, you then go home to take care of your family kind of thing. It's like when you leave your physical world, you then have to do your spiritual stuff. There are some people who say, Grace, I feel like I don't even get good sleep because I'm in my sleep having these dreams or fighting these battles for the galactic empire. Like there's all kinds of different positions that we all might feel like we have, and it's just exhausting. And so for us to then say, so you're telling me that I've been working, paying my dues, doing all this different stuff, that now I have to start over? And it's like, well, I don't necessarily think this is starting over. I think this is just no one told us what the next stage looked like. We didn't really know what we were fighting for this whole time. Like in the physical, we kind of have an idea of what we would want to see, but we didn't really know what it would take to get there because we hadn't done it before. And now we're here, and it really kind of feels like we're starting very small. But it's almost like the executive trainee program versus like having to start all over as a regular low level employee at something, right? It's like you're not going to be the CEO your first day, but you're actually at a place where the path says you start here, you work. Again, I'm noticing this. We can't see that there's actually specific steps we're taking. And so every time divine shows us something or we end up in a place, we keep thinking something's wrong. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Let's see. And remember, we're focusing on divine feminine. We'll do divine masculine next, yeah? Okay, now we have King of Cups. And I think this is speaking to the parts of us that feel very much alone in seeking out the last couple things to bring about that perfection. And I think what this says is there's actually some things that you've had that you've dealt with, right? You got your ducks in a row. You handled certain things in your life. And then when that last stage came around, I was just like, oh, what am I even doing this for? This didn't make me feel good, getting everything in order, dealing with all this other stuff. Why would this last piece of the puzzle actually make a difference? And it's like, I'm getting this. Hold on, what is this saying to me? If you try to base your feelings, if you try to base your understanding on the way that you feel, you're going to miss it. So I guess it's like if you're trying to base it on you thinking you're going to feel really good, you're going to be into it, you're going to be motivated, then you're missing what's really happening. Interesting. And I think that kind of says maybe we're supposed to be a little bit alone on this. And that does speak to the fact that we've got divine masculine over here kind of doing whatever the heck they're doing, right? But it's like if you really want to build this beautiful life and experience this beautiful world and this future and all these things that you see for yourself, there may be seasons like this from time to time where you have to do it alone, where you have to feel like you're starting over or starting small, even though you've really worked hard. But I think divine is coming in and saying, just because you can't see what's happening doesn't mean it's not happening. So again, it's like just because you don't feel a certain way doesn't mean that it's not moving along. Just because you can't see what's happening underground doesn't mean that the roots aren't getting strong. There's This is very interesting, divine feminine. All right, last card. And again, the Knight of Pentacles. So that really was for us as much as it was for the divine masculine. In order for us to have that completion and have something that we can build on and actually like really feel good, we have got to commit to our commitments. What do you think that you have been missing in your life other than your person, right? If we took a person out for a moment and we just had to look at like, this is what's messed up. Yes, I had surgery about a month ago. And then before that, I had some things that I tried to do with my life and I've not been around. However, I do still have clients who would go to my site, even though I wasn't posting because they knew my site, and we had appointments, we had readings. I have had multiple clients, even now, when I have not been posting and have not been around, who have been getting opportunities to get into union. And the things that we had been talking about for a very long time them wanting to do or get done or whatever ended up being the thing that caused the problem with their person. And some of it wasn't even related to their person. Some of it was in certain people's life, right? But it's so bizarre that, like, I'll be real. On one side, I think it's that the divine masculines who are afraid of union, they're looking to pick so that they can be like, see, you're not ready, and they can run, right? But I think in other cases, for many, many years, I've talked to people and said, if you were to get into union right now, you're in it, you're in a relationship, you're moving forward, and you have this thing in your life that you can no longer put as much energy into. So I'm wondering, this feels like so connected to it. So I'm wondering, okay, is this kind of the 911 call to divine feminine? Like, hey, listen, you need to do that thing. Like, get that thing done. Because I'm seeing 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's like, take a look at your life, process what you know needs to be brought to completion so that you don't end up kind of getting served when you really intended for there to be something good. Because I think there's going to be certain things for us that can be very devastating, and our divine masculine using our own like failures against us, or even in their fear, not necessarily doing it to be petty, but in their fear, like running away from us. Some of us will not, like, it will take us quite some time to be able to recover from that because of how tired we have become. So this is interesting. It's like, listen, deal with the stuff that needs to be released. And it's not even like you've been warned. It's more like, trust me. You know, it's like divine's like, trust me. Do this because it'll be good for you, and it'll be one less thing they can use as an excuse against you, against your union. So what do we need to know, divine feminine? Yes. That pentacle is the key. That Knight of Pentacles, that pentacle that we've seen is trying to speak to us. The chaos that we have experienced, it can't be our excuse. And it's not even like a, don't make excuses. It's more like, don't let that thing kind of be your easy way out. Because, that is kind of just like the divine masculine, unfortunately, how they like to find the easy thing so they can run off. It's like, don't let the thing you know you really want slip through your fingers again in this season, because you're still going to want it. It's not going anywhere. And it's actually the key. Let me take a sip of water here, guys. Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands in the back. I think there's a couple messages here. I think that we need to lighten up a little bit. That's a message for me. I think we need to lighten up a little bit. I think that we need to find the love within us. Our exhaustion is making that difficult. I also think we need to look into that unknown future that feels like there is no place for us to plant our seed, to do our thing. I think that's going to make some big changes for us. I think the path is really opening up, and the sun is about to shine in a very new way. And we've got to figure out, what is that going to mean for us this time around? All right, let's focus on divine masculine here now. What do we need to know about them? Wow. Okay. So for them, this kind of 18, this moon energy is coming up again. But this is also telling me that the divine feminine is the missing link for them. They can't quite get to where they want to get to. They can't, you notice all these syncs, right? Like, they can't get to the 10 of Pentacles because they refuse to learn. And there's also certain things that they just don't understand, and no one around them understands. If we were there, if they would actually listen to us, if they would stop being so stubborn or so immature or whatever their thing is, And you know what? In the past, I think it's come up that like, okay, the divine feminine has all this wisdom and knowledge that they're a specialist. It's like, no, this is not about that. This is saying just having someone like you in their life to even just bounce ideas off of, to just talk to just share and be encouraged by is actually huge. They don't have that. They have people who will tear them down. They have people who will just agree with them to agree with them, but they're not even really listening. Like the divine masculine seems to have all these different kind of people, which, as I think about it, if you're running away from serious life or you're very, very stubborn, you're going to surround yourself with people that let you do you, you know? And it's like the divine masculine has got to understand there are points in life and sometimes full seasons in life where that is not going to help you. Not even a little bit. Let me see. The Page of Swords. It speaks to the fear. So there is something up with them. They're very, very worried. If you're in contact with your person, what are they worried about? What's wrong with them? What are they freaking out about? But if I just think about this in general for divine masculines, especially with something that they would need our help or our encouragement to accomplish, it does make me feel like they are starting to have that same exhaustion that we have, but the way that it's affecting them is way heavier, which is interesting because I feel like we carry way more of the weight on the journey, right? But it's like, well, I guess if you haven't been working out your spiritual muscles, then yeah. I have a friend who's very, very athletic, very strong, and I don't know, it was a few years ago, but we went to the gym and I'm like twice her size. And for the most part, because of that, like I could get through certain workouts. But there was a few, especially in my arms. I don't work my arms out. I'm very like blah in my arms. There was some stuff I couldn't even move the thing. I was just like, eh. And so it's like it doesn't really matter if we're actually stronger. And sometimes I also think for the divine masculine, it's like if you haven't given that thing any kind of respect. Like if they don't understand how important it is to deal with their health or their mental health or their heart health, their brain health, their love health. Like if they don't care about any of that stuff and then it fails them or it creates an issue or now suddenly, I think in this case, they need it for something, they're not even going to look to it. They're not even going to try to figure it out or strengthen it. So this is very interesting to me. I feel like they are very afraid and they have every reason to be because they have finally spotted a true weakness in themselves. But I do wonder if they're willing to admit it because the proper thing to do would be to work through that, right? To process it. But without us, we're like their processors. I don't know much about computers, but I feel like there's a thing in a computer called a processor. And I feel like if it's broken, then your computer won't work. I could be wrong. But for some reason, that's what I'm getting here is like they have all this machinery, all these mechanics, all these different things that could work within them. But because they don't have a processor, they keep getting stuck. And I think that also may be adding to their fear and exhaustion. Okay, last card for them. And then 6, 8, 10 of Pentacles. Huh. The Six of Pentacles does speak to their gifting. And if in the beginning I even asked, I wonder what that actually means for them. And now I was just talking about them not having the processor, them not honoring certain aspects of who they are. It does make me feel like the reason their life is so out of balance is because they do not honor the spiritual stuff. And if they're not honoring the spiritual stuff, look what they're missing. They're missing the Ten of Pentacles. They're missing everything they could ever want. Hi. Okay. And there is that lack of balance again. All right, what do we need to know about them? This is very, very interesting. Notice this. We have 0, 10, 1, 10. So we really have, what, 10, 10, 10. We have the need to bring completion. But I think what we also have is a divine masculine who's avoiding the new beginning and a divine feminine who's not honoring the new beginning. So the divine feminine's like, fine, whatever. We kind of will just go through the seasons like, okay, yep, I see it. Okay, cool. Another sync, another sign. But when you've been on a journey, even if you take twin flames out in just a spiritual journey for such a long time without really seeing the fruit of your labor or what you were expecting to see, it can just get to a point where it's all static, it's all noise. And do you do this, or do you know anybody that will like play the same show over and over again? And like sometimes they don't even watch it. They just have it on the background where they're doing the dishes or they're scrolling, or you know what I mean? It's kind of like that is what we are doing with our journey sometimes. It's just like, oh, I remember that. Like I've seen that sync before. I've seen that sign before. I felt this feeling before, but it doesn't have the same oomph that it did the very first time you saw it. But it's also kind of like this comfortable thing you just have going on in the background. Very, very interesting energy. I think the divine masculines need to deal with what they've ignored from the past in a different way than we do. Like for us, divine is saying, "Hey, you have the key. You have to focus on this. You have to figure this out. It's really, really important that you do this." But for the divine masculine, they're like, "I can't give you the key until you deal with what you've missed." So divine feminine is actually to me a lot closer to the 10 of pentacles, to the joy and the excitement. It's there, right? But we just don't care. And we've got to figure out what's going on. Again, the easy thing to say is like, I'm tired, I'm over it, it's the same old thing, nothing's changing, I'm not happy, like whatever it might be. But now the question is why? Because I feel like we've all been in a place like this before. Not exactly, right? But we've had that time in our life where we just thought this is never going to end. I'm exhausted. I don't want to keep doing this anymore. What's the point? We've all had what's the point moments in our life, but the one we're always presently in, right, when we're actually in it, is the one that feels the worst, and it often makes us forget the other times. And divine is trying to say, listen, it's the end of a bad season and the beginning of a new season. And you, divine feminine, because at least you honor your spiritual journey, are on the right side of that. The divine masculine, I think denial goes a long way to keeping them stuck. So, all right, let's focus on DM, and we'll pull some cards for DF shortly. Hold on, did I miss this? What are we missing? What have we not thought about? This is nuts. So, okay, I do think that the tower is going to be a really big issue for them. Again, the way that the energies are showing up for us versus them, it does speak to the journey. It does speak to the fact that like at least we're actually trying. At least I think what it's really saying is self-awareness, spiritual awareness, self-awareness, divine awareness. We have awareness because we have honored our awakening. Divine masculines deal with constant feelings of fear and betrayal and avoidance and running away because to them, this is all an attack on their personhood. We have honored that we're integrating something bigger. We're wanting our, true divine feminine self and our true nature to kind of shine through. They're feeling almost like it's an invader, but that's because their ego has been running the show. So, okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's get some cards here. Whoa. Whoa. Interesting. Whoa. That Ace of Swords and the Queen of Swords, she holds the ace. What is that about? We did see the King of Swords too. And we saw the Justice. Something about that sword. There's two. All right, we'll look at two. And then you. Who's here? Hi, Evan. Hi, Lenise and Jamie. Who's here? I think I saw Chappelle. Cynthia, Sherry. Oh my gosh. Hi, Sharon. There's one. I'm not taking you. One card. There we go. Hi, Shelly. Oh my goodness. You go there, you go there. Okay. And then Divine Feminine, I kind of do want to pull for you if we're going to do this. One card. But I also want to pull one more as like a clear message for you at the end. Okay, perfection. All right. So now we kind of have this refresh. Divine is trying to kind of give us a little bit of insight into how the energy we're experiencing is also affecting them. So we're going to look at two things in their life that we need to know are happening right now in order to get a better sense of clarity on where they are. Let's start here with the physical. What is happening in their physical world that Divine wants to bring to our attention? Two of Swords. The denial. The denial is strong with this one. And I think that we all have divine masculines with varying levels of denial. We all have divine masculines that approach life in different ways. So there may be some divine feminines here right now who are like, ugh, my DM is the biggest denier. And then we might have some DFs that say, no, they can do that sometimes. All right. So you're going to need to kind of think about this, reflect on this, because I think the more in denial that they've been, the more they try to pretend things are a certain way or avoid certain things because it makes them feel better, this is going to be the hardest part for them to get through. And it's kind of making me think about the sword, the ace of swords that we saw, the queen of swords, the king of swords. And it's like, they don't realize that this denial is what feeds their fear and blocks their confidence in moving forward. And they are like, I know we're a little bit afraid of the unknown, guys. I get it. Like, we're human beings as much as we are spiritual. And we don't want to give into that fear. But especially when the world around us feels like things are like collapsing and things are getting really scary. When we go through seasons like that, it can be like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to trust what I can do within myself when I look around and it's all this? But for them, if that is their habit, I think it can cause them to spiral. And so right now we have a divine masculine who's in denial, but they're also in denial about being in denial. We have somebody who is spiraling but doesn't want to admit it. This is important because if you have a divine masculine who uses their ego to kind of block you out, now you can kind of see, oh, there's something underneath that they're kind of ashamed of me seeing. They don't want me to know that they're not okay. They don't want me to know that things are not going well and they're not handling it very well. Now, spiritually speaking, what should we understand about this? 8 of Cups. Interesting, because we see the wand in hand, we see the moon. But what I see is a divine masculine who, by walking away from their emotions, by walking away from their truth, by avoiding it and really going in circles, has only increased their own fear. So we have someone that they're even afraid of the spiritual stuff. Even when divine tries to guide them in a positive way, they're terrified. They don't trust anyone or anything right now. Now, this is kind of a dramatic way to be living. But what I will say is, remember, we're more 3D, we're more 5D, we're more like spiritual creatures, and divine masculines are more 3D, they're more physical creatures. They're more attuned to the world around them. We're more attuned to spirit and divine. It's another reason why it is a little bit easier for us kind of just to be kind of like tired or exhausted and not as freaked out. Because again, we also have the awareness. We're not afraid of the messages that come through. Even when they're kind of scary, it's like, you know what? Now I know. But for them, it's the opposite. When they're not only getting messages in the spirit that are kind of pushing them, but they're also seeing in the physical a world that feels like it's collapsing, it can be really overwhelming for them just to exist. So you've got somebody who's in denial, avoiding their truth, avoiding their own depth, avoiding their own desires of self, like who they really want to be, but who's also desperate. They're afraid they're never going to achieve the thing, but they're also afraid to try. And it's crazy because this kind of sounds like the DMs, unfortunately, like how they can get when they're just in a mood or when they're in a really negative space. But that tells me, again, when I said the same thing I said about this Two of Swords, it's like, depending on the level of and how much that can be them, oh my goodness. So if you've got a DM who's extra about that kind of stuff, well, right now they're extra about that kind of stuff. What is Divine trying to tell you about this? Okay. Weird sign, weird sync, weird message to come through. If your Divine Masculine would just do what they knew was right, which says they know. They know how to fix this. They know the direction they're supposed to go. I'll be real. At least 75, maybe up to like 90% of Divine Masculines, the thing to do would be to be in a relationship with their true person so they could kind of get a move on. Many of them already know, but because they spend so much time in their head and going in circles and cycles and talking themselves out of things and all that, they're now confused about whether or not that's actually a good idea or if it's just a cop-out. Some of them will say, oh, that's just an easy way out. And it's like, that's what you've told yourself, honey. That's what you've made yourself believe by your confusion. But that's not the truth. So Divine wants you to know that at their core and at their depth, the path that they're meant for is the one that they want. And that can be very, very, very frustrating for us because it says after a couple times, we're like, okay, well, maybe you should do something about it. And after a while, it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe you should do something about it. And after some years and feeling like they're stealing almost like our life force from us, like they're ruining some of the best years of our lives, right? We'll tell ourselves these things, right? Because we hear that from the world around us. It's like, maybe you should do something. You know, we're like really frustrated. And I feel you. But I want you to remember you and your Divine Masculine, though twin dynamic is there, are not the same. Your growth journey is not the same. Meaning, if you feel like it took you 10 years to do something, it might not take them 10 years to do something. Because in your mind, you're like, well, they haven't even started. So am I going to have to wait for them to catch up? And then should I stay where I am or should I go forward? And it's like, for some of them, once they actually put their foot to it, it takes them a day. You're like 10 years to a day? Yes, I know it's annoying because it almost sounds like they're superior. I don't know. People can take that the wrong way, but it's like, no, you don't get it. Their growth seasons and growth cycles are just very, very different from us. So don't look at them immediately, judge them and say, you're always going to be behind me because that's going to destroy your progress. Instead, try to acknowledge that they are trying to figure things out their way. And the best thing that can come from that, especially if their way is completely wrong, is they'll never go that way again once they actually choose the right way. They're exhausting their other options in life because that's what they think they need to do. That's what they've been kind of brainwashed and convinced is the best way to be as a masculine, right? But the beauty is no one can ever trick them again once they're done. I've seen people who they get into union very early or what they think is union, but it's really like pseudo union. And it's so close to the denial stage, it's not even funny. And then the Divine Masculine not having been certain about reunion in the first place will then, after they've actually like built something together, run off. And it leaves the Divine Feminine with all these questions like, what was that? Was this even this? Was this even that? And it's like, I'm happy for you that you got that experience of being with them for that brief time. But this is where there are people who've been in separation for a really long time who it's like, I hope that once they get together, they can honor that that was supposed to be their journey, because they have no idea what it feels like after reunion and then separation. Most people have separation and then reunion, or they have like a short period where they're getting to know, there's the awakening, and then there's that, separation season. When you have a period of reunion and you think you're in it and then they run off, it's a completely different experience. So everybody trust and honor the journey that you're on, but know that if your divine masculine seems like they're just taking their precious time, it could be to save you from the pain of them coming in and then running away. What do you need to know? For those of you who are realizing the denial is strong with this one, okay. What is it that you have to understand in order to be able to honor their journey, but also to feel like okay in yourself, Nine of Cups. You need to know that there is a reason beyond the relationship and that this is your time. I said it already because this is a sync. I said it already. I told you if they showed up to your house tomorrow, all the things that you kind of know you need to deal with, just like simple stuff even. Oh, I need to get my house in order. I need to make sure I have space for them. Like we talk about that stuff all the time. If you sense reunion is coming, or hell, even if you are not sure, you should always be in a state of readiness in terms of a human being coming into your world. But beyond that, there's also what we were talking about earlier, even before that, before we got to the physical and we were talking about the spiritual. What was divine saying to you? Hey, that thing that you want to do, that thing, the seeds you want to plant so that you can see your life unfurl in a certain way, the goals and dreams you have, the gifts you've been neglecting or didn't understand were even, a part of you, please deal with that. That is what this is all about. Your divine masculine being in denial is actually giving you the best chance you can at becoming a more fulfilled and completed version of yourself. The truth is, if you have a divine masculine who comes in and maybe their one day growth spurt doesn't happen until like a couple years into the relationship, then you're with a jerk or you're with a meanie or you're with, whatever they might be. You're with someone's ego for that 2 years or something. For that 6 months, a year, 10 years, like however long it takes until they're on their journey, even if you're in reunion, until they have that level of awakening, you're with that other version of them. And there's no way for you to be yourself in that. There's no way for you to be at your best and do all the things. So divine is trying to honor those of you who question this separation thing and remind you, a lot of people don't know who they're going to end up with. In fact, most people don't. Twin flames who have actually met their person already and are now in separation have something that the rest of the world doesn't, which is knowledge that that's my person. That's that's my future. And sometimes if we look at it the wrong way, then we go, oh, now I just got to sit here and it's like, no, the reason for connection and then separation before reunion was obviously on a spiritual level for some sort of catalyzing, something was meant to happen. But on the physical level, it was so that you would be able to kind of have this visual in your mind and be able to formulate your future more soundly around that. But the separation is what we're talking about here. And it says, honor the fact that this person is messed up and may still be messed up when you get together, whether it's for a short time or not. Some of you will have someone who comes in and they've had their awakening, whether it's been day, year, whatever, however long it took them to snap out of it and go forward. Some of you will get into union with that person. But the thing is, you don't know what it's going to be. You don't know how they're going to come home. That being said, do what you can do now without them, because once you're together, you know full well you're going to devote yourself to them. It's just the nature of divine feminines. We nurture what needs nurturing. And even if they come in and they're perfect, they're great, they've changed, they've grown, you're still going to nurture it because the relationship is new. It's like if someone hands you a healthy newborn baby and the doctor's like, this is the healthiest baby I've ever seen in all my years of being a doctor. You're not going to go, oh, great, so I don't need to take care of it. No, you're going to still take care of the baby, even if it's healthy. And so this is divine saying to you, imagine you had a newborn baby coming. What do? You nest, you get everything prepared. Some people will even, have like family come over and they'll cook and put everything in the freezer. So there's like a month's worth of food in the freezer. Like they'll do all these things in preparation. Divine feminine, there are things that you desire and want for yourself and want to become and want to understand about yourself. And if they were to show up tomorrow, a lot of that stuff would go to the wayside, or you'd have to pick and choose, or you'd have very limited time. So instead of being able to like go to school and just be in school for 4 years, get your degree, you'd have to go to school for 12 years because you can only take one class once a year. You know what I'm saying? Trust that divine has offered you this season of separation with the awareness of your person instead of seeing it as I've been offered something and then it was snatched away from me. Perspective is huge right now. Okay. Now let's focus here. What is divine doing in divine masculine's life that needs to be brought to our attention right now? Okay. 2 things. Number 1, 5 of Wands speaks to the immaturities within a person. But the other side of this is divine masculine has an issue with kind of flip-flopping, waffling, going back and forth, being confused. And I kind of mentioned this already, right? If they can go through the season of confusion and come out of it realizing that's all that was, they'll never go down that path again. Being confused is different than being foolish or stupid. But we also have divine masculines who, this is frustrating and this is hard to say, but they know they're being immature. They know they're being childish. They know whatever it is they're doing wrong, they know it's wrong. But because they've seen it on TV or they've seen people around them do it or their, family members did it or whatever, they do it. And this internal conflict has created a lot of issues for them, like a lot. This is something divine has to work on in them, not just for you, but for them, like to be a solid whole person. Because this is the thing. It seems like they're happy. It seems like when they decide to go act immature and oh, they're just living their best life. No, they're not. They're miserable fools. In that moment, when they do something or say something to you or, they hurt you or they embarrass you or whatever, and then they kind of like, act like it's no big deal. And then it seems like they go and do their thing. The truth is, there are some DMs who will like put that from their mind and not worry about you. And that's fine. If that's what they want to do, it is what it is. They'll regret it. Don't worry. But the same thing they do to you, they will do to themselves. They will do in their own life. Maybe they've seen somebody do something really immature on TV, or it's like a common trope among masculines, right? So they'll do that thing to you, and it's like, oh, haha, I got away with something, and now I can justify it in my head. Cool. But then they turn around, and they do it to themselves, and they're like, what is wrong with me? Why did I just do that? We all have those moments as humans. It's a human thing to do sometimes, but I think immature people do it to an extent that is really destructive. So divine is working on that in them. And I'm going to be real with you. I think the way divine works on stuff like that is to bring circumstances around that actually make it hurt. Most likely in the last couple of years, your divine masculine has had divine putting little, just beautiful opportunities, great paths, all kinds of things in front of them. And they keep, what is the word? Choking. Okay. Whether it's that they choke or they fumble it or they just do or say something in that immaturity, thinking that it's appropriate for the level they're trying to get to. And divine lets those people or those situations make them feel foolish. They have to realize, even if they're not a foolish person in their entirety, they have to realize when they're being a fool. And divine seems to not really be playing with them right now. Okay. And there was a season, I told you before, there was a time where divine masculines could kind of get away with that stuff because it just wasn't their time yet. That has not been the case for a little while now, but it seems like there's a ramping up. And it could be because divine is like, I am not going to let you sit there and destroy your life and ruin your life and miss out on your gifting. And I'm done with all that. And so are you. What's happening to them spiritually? Okay. They're being humbled. Okay. That's, I mean, we're kind of just getting confirmation of what I just said. Divine is humbling them, and divine is showing them that if they don't choose to act right and they choose to keep letting their ego push them in the wrong direction, unfortunately, it's not just going to be something where they can laugh it off anymore. They have put a distance between them and love that makes it easy for them to hurt you and pretend it's okay. But like I said, don't worry, they're not going to forget it. Some of you have experienced where they'll come in and they'll be like, I know I did you wrong. Or even divine masculines who will now say, I went too far, I hurt you too much, and I feel too guilty now, so, it'll never work. We do have that happen along the way, but some DMs, because they're so chaotic in their life, it's really easy for them to push us to the side and like they can just forget about it for a minute. But the stuff that they're trying to achieve, that they're putting their focus on, that they're really desiring, when that gets messed up, when their own foolishness ruins their life, then all of a sudden all the stuff they did to you comes in. Everything they do wrong weighs on them. So when I say humbled, when I say ego is under attack, like, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It's funny for those of us who are frustrated, who are like, I told you a long time ago, like, maybe I haven't even had a chance to talk to you lately. Maybe I haven't had a chance to, and maybe I didn't even say it in a negative way back then. But you refused to deal with it. You treated me a certain way and didn't realize that without self-control, without figuring your stuff out, that the way you do me is the way you do your own life and your purpose and everything else. And for some DFs, it's like they love to see their DM get karma. But for some DFs, it's just like, you laugh to keep from crying kind of thing. Like, it's funny because it's just like, this is insane. Like, you should have known. You're grown. In fact, if you had someone in your life that you really, really cared about and you wanted to impress them and they brought you like all the stuff you've done and said, someone did this to me, you would probably tell them, don't tolerate it or to leave. Or if somebody, kind of immature who wanted to grow up came to you and you're trying to impress them, you'd have all the answers for them, wouldn't you, divine masculine? But when it comes to you, suddenly you're oblivious. This sounds like gaslighting for the purpose of avoidance. If you've dealt with that from your person, don't worry. Divine is working on it pretty much, I think, by throwing it in their face. Okay, so what do we need to understand? Like, how is this showing up in their physical? Gosh. Now, if you remember, we had the Ace of Pentacles. And if you remember, I said that the divine masculine, divine cannot give them the Ace of Pentacles yet because they're not dealing with everything that led up to this point. So what's happening is divine is dangling, and I want you to think about the Ace of Pentacles in the Rider Waite. There is a path, there's the pentacles kind of like hanging above in the hand, there's a path, and there's a tunnel of love, and then there's a mountain range. And the toll must be paid to enter. And to enter that path of success and new heights and all this opportunity, the only way into that is love. The divine masculine in spirit is fully aware they need that pentacle. And that pentacle and you are so closely tied. But in the physical world, they can't quite reach it because they're too short. And I say that like a spiritual physicality. Okay. They do not have, remember I talked earlier about like muscles, and just because I was bigger, like I'm talking, my friend was like 5 foot, maybe 120 pounds. I am 5'6" and double that. Okay. Like, so it's like, I'm trying to do this machine and my arms are so weak, I can't even push it forward to do it. So you have a divine masculine who they think they're big, they think they're bad, they think they're so cool, they think they're all these things, but because they don't work out this aspect of their life, they can't even push it. They can't even do it. If divine handed them the pentacle, they'd probably fall and drop it like, "Oh my gosh, this is too heavy. I can't even get to the mountain with it." Divine is revealing their weaknesses to them through this pushing down through humility. And I think that it's trying really to show them, if they don't bring their life to balance and bring things to rights and pursue the right path, nothing's going to change for them. Nothing's going to get better. In fact, now they're going to feel it worse than ever. But what does divine want you to understand? Because I think for many of you, this is a confirmation. Like, yes, I know that my person has some things they're quite immature about. I know that their ego has been running rampant in their life for a long time. And that's usually the part of them I interact with, whether in the physical or spiritual. But hasn't this kind of always been the case, right? Isn't divine always having to dangle the pentacle in front of them? I'm like, I don't think that's it though. I don't think it's the same as usual. I do think it's like a worse feeling, because I feel like the divine masculine, again, moving forward, may actually have a real plan in place. Like they might not just be talking about it, they might actually be willing to be about it now, but that doesn't count if you're still fucking around. So what do you need to know? Oh my gosh. I knew it. How did I know? It's crazy because both of these are syncs, but you saw me shuffle this deck for a while. It's just so funny. Okay. What you need to know is you have the pentacle. And I know this might, like, you might be like, "Grace, what's wrong with you?" Baby, you have the pentacle. Do you understand that? They have to come to you. That's you can lift it. To you, it's nothing. You've been stretching and pushing and doing and all the things for your spiritual muscles to be strong. That's why divine is telling you, use the key. You have the power to move about this world in a very different way than, first of all, you already know this about yourself, right? You already know, just looking at the world of people who are not spiritual, just looking at people who are not aware, that they're pretty far behind. And it's nothing against them. I'm not trying to, it's like talking negatively about the muggles. I'm not, but you know it. You just do. Okay. It's very obvious interacting with them. But on a even higher scale now, we're talking about everything that you've been doing, everything that you want to pursue for your future, whatever it is that you're about to decide, you know what? Fine. I'm going to write the dang book. Fine. I'm going to get my house in order. Fine. I'm going to go apply for the new job. Like whatever it is that you're like, fine, I'll do it. And it's probably going to end up flowing now because it's the time. It's going to exactly impact, almost like equal and opposite, their life. Every choice that you've made, every dream, everything about you as their equal and opposite in this particular season is exactly what they need and even beyond. And I think that divine is going to use you to humble them as well. And I know some of you are going to be like, good, they deserve it. Some of you are going to be like, I don't really want to be a part of that. Like, it's like, just do you, boo. Okay? That's what you need to do right now because you have the thing. I'm so sorry. It's not funny. But it is funny. Okay? It is funny. They're going to have to go through this thing. They're going to have to be dealing with their immaturity. And they're going to have to realize, and it's going to be painful when they realize you've been it all along. And that is a revelation that they have to experience numerous times on the journey But in this particular season, it is tied to something that they have finally decided to put their foot in it. Like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to make it real. I'm going to be the best version of myself I can be. And the shame will become even more apparent for them when they realize, I already knew this. I already knew that my person was the thing. I've always told myself that. In fact, this is really sad, but for most divine masculines, they have actually told you at some point they know you're going to be together, just not now. That's the weirdest part about it. It's not everybody, but there's actually a very large percentage of divine masculines who will say to you, like, I've always loved you. I always knew we would be together. I just needed to get this together. I needed to get that. But they said it to themselves in a way that they did not properly process. And to have it pushed in front of them again right now, it's not just going to be embarrassing. I think it's going to be a really massive wake-up call. And the question is, what's the design of your journey? Does that mean that they are going to now come in and say, hey, I'm not really where I need to be in life, but I know you're my path? Are they going to try to fix themselves first because they feel guilty? Are they going to try to fix themselves first because they feel more confident in the certainty of what's comes, with in terms of your future together? Like, everybody's journey is different right there. Everybody's divine masculine is different right there. But the hope is that there's not a very large group, hopefully it's small, if zero DMs who then just wallow in their immaturity, in their ego, like, oh no, woe is me. I had it and I floundered it or fumbled it or whatever. Like, hopefully that's not the case here, because that'd be very frustrating. But for those of you who this is an important season, you getting your thing together, regardless of which path that person chooses to take, actually puts you more in alignment in the physical where it counts to them. So if they come in and your life is exactly the same, as I've mentioned, some of them will use that as an opportunity to run away. If your life is better, they may use that as an opportunity to come in and say, let's get better together. And if your life is really on point and you've done the thing, they may use that as an opportunity to say, I know that I'm not going to hold you back from being you, and you're going to hold me accountable. In all those ways, in all those paths, you are doing better. You are on point. And so you really got to figure this out. From the very beginning, it's been coming up and it's just repetitive now. What is it that you know you were supposed to be doing? That's going to change everything. You are the key. You have the key. This is nuts. Okay. So I guess my question here, well, maybe let's go here. What do we need to understand about our person? Like, now we have this kind of picture of somebody who's in denial, who's kind of being tested and tried because of their immaturity, and really being pushed to let things go, to let go of the stuff that doesn't serve them. What is it that we need to understand about how they're receiving this energy, especially kind of in the coming, the season up ahead? Not just in the moment where they're clearly getting taken through the ringer. Okay. The Page of Wands says they're open to the discovery. And again, I think that's because even before this season, or as we maybe arrived at it, before Divine started to kind of press them, they realized they needed to get serious. And they've been saying it for a long time. But again, that was kind of the problem with these DMs, is they would just say stuff. They would just say all kinds of things, which is where, when they did say positive stuff to us, it was actually challenging for us to believe them, because it was like, you're just BSing me like you BS yourself. We really don't know if they meant what they said, because it's like, how can I trust a person who speaks out both sides of their mouth, But I think that, again, this is kind of showing that divine timing, that the things coming together. There is a part of them that says, maybe I should pay attention. Maybe this is more important than I'm giving credit to. And even though they're still afraid, they're still a little bit foolish, they're still a little bit worried that everything's going to fail, because that's their kind of fear of success kicking in. The fact that they're open to exploring it tells me, it's right here. Good. It tells me that when divine brings back around their emotions and kind of like, hey, this is what you care about, this is what you're avoiding, this is the true depth of how you feel. Like when divine brings that stuff in, I don't think they're going to run from it in this season. So what this tells me, well, okay, that's funny that I say that, because in this, I told you, right now, at this time, there's actually a lot of opportunity for love, connection, companionship, like just even in the astrology, taking out the twin flame aspect, taking out what divine might be doing for us as a collective, as a wave. There is something in the air, okay? So the fact that the divine masculine has the openness, divine is kind of doing this refining, and the astrology is a certain way. Again, I'm seeing a beautiful combination that creates that divine timing that we can actually get kind of excited about. What are we missing though? We see someone who it almost seems like perfect timing, which unfortunately I do think sometimes that's how it has to be with the DM, but that does kind of explain their rapid growth cycles, where maybe we're fighting against energies and having to do all these different things to have our growth. Whereas like divine will intentionally set them up in like an incubator or a hyperbaric time chamber or something. Okay. Where it's like all the energies, all the stars align and it can give them a boost. Okay. But what do we need to understand about how they receive this? Queen of Cups. This is a sync. We've had a lot of syncs today. It's like at least half the cards I feel like we've seen twice. The king, the queen and the page is an interesting combination because it does speak to the fact that we've always kind of been beyond them. And this is, I have some clients that are like in age gap relationships. I have some clients that their DM is younger than them or whatever. But I don't think that this is just talking about those situations. I think that it's all of it. I think that we have been beyond them in many, many ways because of our focus, because we want to be, we try to be. And I think that that is what's coming up for them as they focus on what they've been doing, why they've been doing it, how they've treated us, all that kind of stuff. There's this feeling of, am I going to be enough? Could there ever be a point where I will not be so far behind this person? And I mean, I do kind of wonder the same thing sometimes. But again, we understand how divine works and the nature of divine masculine growth. I've always explained it as if you think about like a guy in ninth grade or 10th grade, over the summer, they grow 6 inches or like a foot. You know, the little short guy has his growth spurt, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, who are you? You look so different. You know, like your whole body is stretched out like this. And we've stopped growing like 2 years before that, right? That's like if we're talking about just genetics, biology, whatever. So it's kind of similar in the spiritual world where we kind of surpass them sometimes and then they will have their growth spurt. They don't understand that though, because we're not talking about physicality. We're talking about spiritual. So they're looking at you and they're seeing you as this person that is just perpetually ahead. But what they are also missing is what happens when there is a fulfillment in purpose and gifting. That is another thing that can create a massive growth spurt. It's almost like they were never behind, they just weren't locked in, if that makes sense. In some cases, especially where there really isn't some significant like age difference or, maturity difference, but it's like they're choosing to be immature. Sometimes it's just turning the other way that can actually change things for them. So this is really important because what divine wants you to understand about your divine masculine is they are really struggling with being the person that they know they're supposed to be, as always. But a major factor of that for them is reflecting on the fact that they still want to be with you. They still see a future with you. And they just wonder, like, how is it possible to connect? I like this. I think that seeing this in the physical says this isn't some vague spiritual feeling. This isn't some thing divine is putting in front of them. It is a natural reaction to being open to exploring the things that they've been closed off to. It is the, avoidant person finally stopping Like, stop running, stop your denial, and look at things for what they are. Okay. Now, what do we need to understand spiritually? What does divine want us to understand kind of in the ether? And remember, this is their energy. This small deck is theirs. We've got this deck is yours. But these two energies that we're about to look at are the combined, the shared energy. What do you need to know? Wow, guys. The Seven of Cups comes up again. I think we've seen it in every deck. I just know we've seen it 3 times now. And what this is trying to tell you is, instead of wondering, being uncertain, it's time to make a decision and go forward and to commit to that thing and to get it done, to deal with it. So again, whatever this is, this thing that you have been holding off and you really want to do it. I mean, some of it is feeling like life purpose kind of stuff, guys. Like, start the channel, and it's funny because it's like, oh, now it's too late. That happens to me sometimes when I'm like, okay, I really want to write, but everybody self-publishes now, and there's so many books out already, and or I'll tell myself nobody's reading, and so I'll just kind of tell myself there's no point. It's a silly thing, and it's like, that's not what divine is saying to you, though. Where do you get off telling yourself no about your life purpose? And so there may be some things that you've kind of told yourself, like, I'm too old, it's too far gone, I don't know how, like all this different stuff. And you really still want to do it, but you just think it would be a waste of time. Divine is trying to tell you the true waste of time is thinking about it and thinking it's going to go away. Reflecting on it, wasting time, kind of mulling it over and then tossing it aside. Learn how to knit. I mean, whatever the thing is, guys, do the thing, because I just professionally believe that this does affect the divine masculine's energy. I think that us pushing ahead can cause them to push ahead, even in the spirit. But also, I think that what this does for us is it helps us start to move into the future. Because what we don't realize is, by ignoring our desires, by ignoring our purpose, by ignoring our gifting and not using our gifting, we're actually stalling ourselves out. And that is really where the pain of separation can weigh on you. That's where, since the very beginning, this channel, I know Mr. LightWork posts on here. Some of you don't even know who I am, right? But many of you who are here know I started this channel like 8 years ago, and it was meant to be a Queen of Pentacles channel. It was never meant to be a twin flame channel. I just happened to be a twin flame, and I wanted to kind of share. And my original thing was kind of like, we all need a hobby. We all need a purpose. We all need that thing that's going to catapult us into the next season. And it ended up becoming, what it was, but that is still such a truth for all twin flames out there. You need to do things that can help harness your emotions and help you push into the new season. If not only will you be stuck, but the weight of not going forward, not knowing what comes next, like all of that will feel 10 times worse. Some of you have had things come up with family or friends or work or projects or whatever, and for a brief time, you might have actually felt better about your journey, even if your journey was exactly the same as it was before and after. What I'm saying is true. The hardest part is the inertia that can happen. So divine is trying to tell you, you need to get on your path again. Whatever has stopped you, stalled you out, prevented you from wanting to go on is false. Your path and your journey is true, is real. It is time for you to start to walk again. And that is why I think it's so important to realize you already have the key. That maybe even every time you reach a door or you feel blocked, divine has given you the ability to open it, and you don't even realize it because you don't even try. You just keep getting frustrated that there's a door. And again, that is on divine in a way, right? Like, could you have told me that every 5 steps there's a door? And divine is like, I figured after you saw the pattern, you would have gotten it, instead of letting things get you down. And so again, perspective shift. It's very frustrating to be a higher spiritual being, to step into your advanced beliefs, because it almost feels like the more you do that, the more the world tries to bring you down. But it's like, it's not that it almost feels like that. That is what happens. Why would darkness want you going forward? When you're existing in your worst, when you're existing and that's it, why darkness doesn't want anything to do with you because you're already just in the dark, right? When you start to push forward, when you start to grow, when you start to elevate, when you start to help others, when you start to use your gifts, darkness freaks out. And they're like, we need to get rid of this person. Like, we need to stop them. Sometimes it'll even use your person against you because they know if there's anything in this world that can get to you, it's them. Don't fall for it. You know better. Maybe you needed a reminder. Why? Why is this so important? Because this is crazy. We got another sync. Because your person, they're going to need a role model. And if you continue on the journey as you have been, which for some of us, like you guys know me, I was boy crazy my whole life, like dealt with limerence, made Mr. Lightwork like the center of my world for a long time because that's just what I did with people because that's what I thought women were supposed to do. Like there was so many things that were just very backwards about how I came up, and coming into true divine femininity really rocked my world and like my personhood and my worldview. They need a role model, not a nurturer. Us being nurturing by nature is normal. Us turning our nurturing onto them and trying to like grow a flower is not how this journey works. Us, them coming into our life and us like pouring everything we've got into them is not what divine gives us our gifting for. That's where so many of us, divine won't let us get into union until we start our purpose. Because divine is like, I know you. You're going to keep pouring and pouring and pouring. But the problem is this person, I haven't patched the holes yet. So you're going to be wasting the energy that I've given you. Divine is trying to help you step into your true personhood so that you know what to accept and what to deny yourself. Like, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. You're not going to treat me that way. And it isn't going to be by fighting with them, stooping to their level, which happens when you're tired, you're exhausted, you're weakened, or you're just hurt and you're like, we're supposed to be happy together. We're each other's person. Like, we're some of the luckiest human beings on earth. Why are you acting like this? Like, why am I still dealing with your ego? Those kinds of questions can come up when we're just exhausted. The darkness wants to keep us exhausted. It's like that's the best thing for it is to keep us miserable, unhappy, sad, fearful, whatever it is that is like the opposite of our gifting. Divine is trying to show you how to step into your best self for you, for your constituents, like the people that you were born to serve, the people who are waiting for you to level up and step into whatever level it is that, when you're at level 3, you help these people, you're at level 5, you help these people. It's like there are people out there just waiting for you to continue forward. They don't know they're waiting for you. They have no idea who you are until you get there and they're like, oh my gosh, where have you been my whole life? It happens all the time. But there is another side of this that says, when the divine masculine sees you work through your stuff, sees you put things together, there is a competitive side of them that wants to kind of like match you and maybe even pass you, which can be very healthy in many twin flame dynamics. But there is also a part of them that feels relief that it's possible. And if you two come together and you kind of feed on each other's negativity into the spiraling down, let me tell you something. It is one of the leading causes of going into separation, unfortunately. And the truth is, most of the time they start it. The truth is, most of the time, it's almost like that's how they've operated for so long, they don't know any other way. But unfortunately, you giving into it and behaving the same way and going along, it almost confirms a falsehood for them, that that's just the way the world is. When you get yourself to a point where you're kind of above their bull, it changes everything. It can make things feel, I don't know, like maybe I really have just been one of the biggest a-holes in the world, and I've been awful, and I can just admit to myself that I'm going out of my way to be awful. I'm going out of my way to be difficult. I'm going out of my way to be a failure. I'm intentionally trying to fail. I'm intentionally trying to prove that I'm not enough. Like maybe that's really who I've been this whole time. And the proof is right here in front of me. And it's really scary for us because it's like, I don't know if I'm enough, right? I don't know if I'm a good enough person to show this person the way to be great, right? And it's like that's not really the point. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be someone that would make them look at the world and say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the way that I see the world this whole time has been wrong. Mm. All right, final from divine. What do you need to understand? You need to refresh yourself on what it means to be a twin flame, on what the divine masculine journey looks like, on what it means to be a divine feminine. You need to ask yourself, especially if you're very tired right now, what is the point of what I'm doing here? You know what I mean? Like what do I really believe? Because if I don't realize that these beliefs are guiding my thoughts and actions and behaviors, if I don't know that these beliefs are kind of guiding my path forward even, and they're just there. It's almost it's there's a thing in like religion called deconstruction. So if you've been Mormon and you left, Jehovah's Witness and you left, Christian in general and you left, any kind of like thing that you grew up around and then you had to like step away from it, you deconstruct it. If you think about if somebody says this is a deconstructed cheesecake, what they might give you some crumbles instead of a full crust, and then like a mound, like ice cream scoop of cream cheese, or not cream cheese. I don't know what cheesecake is, but of the actual like cake itself. And then like they drizzle the strawberry, maybe they put it to the side, instead of having an actual cheesecake, they give you this thing that they've taken apart and you can kind of see all the components. Well, there's this thing in religion where you do the same thing. You take it all apart and you say, what was real? What was just my parents' or my family's view? What was just my church's view versus like the church's view, right? Like you look at all these different parts, even if you're like, I'm done with it, but maybe to help yourself process it, you look at it from a different perspective. Divine is asking you, if your person were to come in tomorrow and the beliefs that you have about twin flames were like what you had to explain to them. Like, what if they came in, they said, I had a dream last night that you're my twin flame. I looked it up. I don't quite understand it. Can you teach me? Ask yourself if what you would tell them would be positive, because there's been a lot of heaviness, right? And again, if we're talking about divine feminines who are really tired, who are really overwhelmed, it's like, oh my gosh, why would anything you said to them make them want to do this? Especially if most of it is like separation based. Reunion is actually the real journey. The separation journey feels like the journey because it's the thing we focus on the most, especially if, like me, you were boy crazy, or if, unlike me, like you were always secure in yourself, but for some reason, this particular relationship has thrown you completely for a loop. Like it can be very easy to over focus and try to figure it all out. And then after a while, you just kind of get bored. It's like this thing kind of running in the background and it's just weighing you down. If you then, say that to them, how does that really help them understand who they are? So you need to go back to the basics for yourself. I'm not saying that what I believe is sure. Just like I don't know if my religious beliefs are the right one. I believe they are, but I'm not sure. And I'm open to the fact that we all have that kind of like, I don't know. In the same way, it's like, I believe reunion happens this lifetime. I don't believe twin flames are just friends. Like there's certain things about being a twin flame I just believe or don't believe, but I need to get to the bottom of where all that came from and why and what that means outside of the pain of separation, or in my case, like any troubles Mr. Lightwork and I have, like being in union. It's like, what is it really about? So this is very important. Your person needs you to understand this journey better than you understand it now, So not just from the perspective of like how it feels to be on the journey and be in pain or feeling like a loss, but also what's the point? If you can't explain that to them in a way that would make them feel like they're ready to go, that means that that's what's happening inside of you too. Is that there's probably in your physical a part of you that's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Why is this so important? Why is divine kind of asking you to deconstruct your twin flame beliefs and your understanding of what this means? Wow, it's crazy because I'm reflecting on this and I'm thinking this is nuts because when you do that, it's also requiring you to deconstruct your person a bit, right? And it can really help change your perspective of them, good or bad. It's going to change something in doing this. Okay, but what does divine want you to know? In the very beginning of this reading, I said that this is especially important for those of us who have King of Pentacles DMs. And again, if you're drawn to my channel and Mr. Lightwork's channels, if you're drawn to us, we are King and Queen of Pentacles twin flames. And this is very interesting that this comes up now. Because what this is telling you is if you're looking for more confidence about this journey, which could give you more confidence about yourself and your person and your future, if you can find that, it will reflect deeply in them, whether it's because of how you're feeling and what you're understanding on a spiritual level, or whether it's because what if you handing them the key and them going, oh my gosh, this is the key. I know it because I've looked in every lock I couldn't open. I looked in there to kind of see what the components looked like. And I knew this is what the shape of the key would be, but I could never find it anywhere. Where did you find this? And you tell them, this is who we are. This is what we're here to do. This is what, like, beyond just, oh, we're going to be together forever, which is where a lot of twin flames actually like scare their DM off because they make it all about themselves and love and relationship stuff, which is the bonus, but not the purpose of being a twin flame. When you can tell your person their purpose, like who they actually are on like a cosmic level, that's another thing where after years, maybe decades, a lifetime of confusion, all of a sudden you've just unlocked something for them. They will know you're it. They will never look back. They will be like, I didn't even know that's what I was asking you. I thought you were just explaining some weird spiritual thing to me, or I don't know. I didn't know what it was, but you just broke my brain in a beautiful way to be put back together properly. You deconstructed. You deconstructing twin flames and understanding yourself and your journey and them and divine and the purpose and all these different things of what makes this concept then translates over to them and actually helps them see what they've been missing. And this might be saying, if this is what's coming up, it might be telling us we've been spending too much time focusing on the journey and our partner and not enough time focusing on the divine aspects of this, especially for those of us who've been searching for answers for years and everybody has something different to say and none of it really resonates. You know what I mean? Like, especially for those of us who, if you're had limerence issues like me, like where it's like, oh, I thought this was just about love, Grace. Like, what do you mean? You know, it's like if there's these things that have kind of been blocking us and then we figure this out, I feel like not focusing on the negative aspects, really, because that's what this is, right? We've been focusing on the lack. We've been focusing on the negative. We've been questioning. I'll never understand that, you know, how we can stay on this journey but hate it so much. If we're going to do it, we need to have full, just, I'm in and this is where I'm going and I'm not questioning. And it can be very, very difficult for those of us who have codependency issues. Hell, I grew up with that. So no judgment coming from this way. Divine is asking us to do something very different. It's not like, oh, focus on yourself. Sure, that's there. And it's not saying completely disregard your person. Actually, it's kind of the opposite. It's not just saying, wait for divine timing. It's like, stop all that for a second and redefine all this stuff for yourself properly. Because whatever you learned months, weeks, years ago, even from when you started this journey to where you are now, has become convoluted and it's time to refresh. So what's your final message, Divine Feminine? What do you need to know? Ah, what the heck? This is weird because I shuffled, not only did I shuffle, but like even down to the placement of the cards. Like if the top and the bottom card had come out, it'd be like, okay, you didn't shuffle very well. But even a sync card, like one of the first blessing cards that we did came out. This is so weird. Divine Feminine, look into the unknown. The unknown has been scaring the out of you lately. The future has been scaring the out of you lately. But you are incredible. You are wise. You have way too much going for you to be caught up in some loop of fear. Divine is calling you. 911, are you listening? You are a divine feminine. Like, you are a highly spiritual being. You have a capacity to hold so much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Not only are you not honoring what you already have within you, but you're not expanding it. You're not connecting all the dots. Like, it's like a brain that the left and right side aren't connected and the synapses aren't working and it's like there's no electrical pulses. It's just lost its energy. And divine is saying to you, instead of having the perspective of the future being this grayed out, like, is it even worth it kind of thing? I'm getting like, heavy. Divine is asking you to plant the seed and know that you will eat of its fruit. I don't even think this is saying like plant the seed even though you might not. No, this is saying you will. Believe that the future is desirable, worth it. That you are desirable and worth it. Fight through what's been eating away at you. Because it's not a coincidence. It's not just life. It's not just what happens on the journey. You have basically been under spiritual attack and physical attack this entire time, and you forgot that that happens whenever you get close to something big. I know there are gonna be people who be like, Grace, this is why haven't you been going live for so long? I get it. I'm sorry. I know this is my job, but come on. The truth is, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Unless you just never heard me before and you've only been surrounded by like nonsense, but no. The truth is, you already know this. And we've got to work on why we forget. So easily they forget. Why? Why do we keep ending up back here and having to go, oh yeah, I should have had a V8 moment, right? Like, oh, duh. Ooh, because we have fear. Because our fears are not just in the spirit, they're also in the physical. We have some things that our ego is trying to make bigger than it really is. And for most of us, the truth is we're okay. We might not be where we want to be. We might not be like great, right? In some cases, but we're okay. And because we weren't told what the journey should look like, we kind of had this belief like, well, every day that I spend on this journey and every day that I'm a twin flame and every day that I'm a divine feminine, it's just going to get better and better because somebody out there lied to us. I don't know. Even me, like being in my religious beliefs, always thought like if I just was like a good little religious whatever, if I just did these things, that everything would be okay. No, it's not true. Why? Where did that come from? Because I also know that no, the more I try to do right, the more evil, darkness, whatever, is going to try to be like, hell no, you better sit back down. It's like, how can I know both things? How can I believe both things? I need to deconstruct myself. You know what I'm saying? Our fears have taken over and made it to where we're paralyzed. Hold on, I wrote something. What does it say? I wrote something over there. It literally says paralysis is a sign of attack. I've been writing things. It's a whole, but whatever. Paralysis is a sign of attack. You have been under attack. And what I will say is every so often I'm like, oh gosh, what? And then I go, oh yeah, I'm so important and so worthy and so special and so like uniquely designed for the grand scheme that if I even try 10%, something wants to destroy me. Now, one side of that perspective says, "Oh, that sucks." The other side says, "Who am I? Like, what am I?" And the question I have for you, Divine Feminine, is who are you that you've been so under attack? Please like this video. I forgot to tell people that. Please like this video because someone is going to get to the end of this and hear that and go, "Oh, yeah." Or they're going to go, "Wait a minute. I've never heard this before, but wait, that actually makes spiritual and physical logical sense. What the heck? Who am I? What have they been trying to stop me from getting out into the world? Uh-oh. Wait a second. I've actually known that my whole life when I was scapegoated or I was the black sheep or you know what I mean? Like it's like, wait a minute. What? Please have that moment. Please have that moment. Because divine is trying to remind you that you actually have a lot more control over your ego than the average person. That you have a gift that has been expanded and is waiting for you to tap into it and understand it better. You have a lot of things that once you come out of the whether it's sulking or whether it's like because sometimes it's not even sulking. Sometimes you legitimately just feel like I am being held down. And it's like once you realize that you're strong enough to be like, get off of me, and you stand up, you're gonna go, oh no, my whole life is in disarray. Let me fix this really quick, you know? And then you start to remember and you start to uncover and recover, and oh my goodness. I'm hearing take back the ground that the enemy stole from you. Who's the enemy? Any being, thing, person, place, whatever situation that is trying to stop you from being the light that you were designed to be in your little part of the world. Why? Eight of Cups, another sink. Because if they can get you into your worst and most negative emotions and into your misery, if they can get you to just be at a place where you give up and give in and you're just done, then they know you'll never be happy. You'll never have union. You'll never help anybody. And if the longer you sit in that, the more likely it is that you'll keep yourself there. And that's what they're banking on. Something, somewhere, someone out there does not want you to be happy. I told you guys that when I went over this, the archetypes, the spiritual archetypes, I showed you that there are like people that are specifically designed to infiltrate and oh, this is so hard to explain because it's very high level spiritual stuff, but it's crazy. It's like they're designed to stop you or to come into your space and almost like take over your gifting, your power, your life, and destroy. That's what they're there to do. And it just feels so strongly right now like you getting a hold of your emotions is the last thing they want. You getting a hold of this twin flame journey is the last thing they want. You getting a hold of your divine purpose and your gifting, oh my gosh, it could destroy all the progress they've made. Good. It is about damn time. So I don't know what the heck's going on here. I do know that the divine feminine and the divine masculine have both been gifted a season that is going to be life changing. The real question is, does that mean reunions coming for some? Does that mean that your divine purpose is about to blow up? Does that mean that you're finally going to get to kind of free yourself from the struggle and the stress and the misery? I think it's a little bit of all of the above for some. And I think for others, it is the exact right thing that you've been needing but didn't realize you needed most. So I want you to at least say, okay, divine, I honor this and I'll do it. Say it, especially if you're alone. Okay, divine, I honor this, I'll do it. Okay, divine, I honor this, I'll do it. Make that agreement. Do one small thing tonight, something tiny. It doesn't have to be big because I know it's late for some of you and it's been a long weekend. Do one small thing tonight that feels like, all right, I'm setting things in motion. So that way when you see it tomorrow, you remember it. And do something tomorrow and do something and every day and start that avalanche of flow, okay? Guys, I will not be doing readings very much on this channel moving forward. I will have shorts and I will have, some of you know I post in the community tab, but I really, really hope that you'll consider subscribing to Awakening Divine and Passion's Path. Those are the channels I will be focusing more energy on. But I do still have all intentions of continuing to work with twin flames. I've just finally honored the fact that a lot of people have said to me, you know, your messages are more important. Like the things you say beyond the twin flame stuff, the prophetic downloads that you get. Sometimes I feel like I can't share them with people who are not on the twin flame journey because it's in a reading like this. And I always said no. Like I'm not I'm not interested. But I realize that's not who I am. I'm not just a twin flame. I'm not just, in the prophetic space for twin flames. And so that is where I do want you to know I'll be doing some more readings. I'll be doing some lives there. So I have, can I share it here? I'll put it in the comments or the description or something, okay? But yes, the channels are called Awakening Divine and Passion's Path. So if you're interested in getting more love letters and getting more personal type readings, general readings, career, love, like anything, those are the channels that I'm going to be posting on. But I'll be here as well. I just need to build those things up, okay? So I love you. If you made it all the way to the end, it says I have 5 likes. Yep, it says I have 5 likes. So if you can like this, please. Thank you so much, because I think some people may need to hear it, and YouTube probably won't show it because I haven't gone live for a while. So I think that will help it hopefully reach the people it needs to reach. I love you so much. And I just had a surgery that I'd been putting off for like 4 years. So I I'm fine. It was just something that was going to interfere with me being able to do this. So I just had to take that time off in order to prepare and get myself right. I've never had surgery before. It was very scary. So I had to deal with it. So I'm sorry I haven't been around, but I'm back. And my site is up, and I got a sale going on right now on thefierygrace.com. So if you're like, oh, I was waiting for you to come back so I could do a call, my calls have still been up. In fact, I didn't tell you guys this, but I now do calls daily. I've figured out how to make that work with my schedule. So you just have to go to my site and look for that. And for those of you who we've worked together before, if there's a call time on there that doesn't work for you, just shoot me an email and say, hey, Grace, which one should I buy? I want to change it up a little bit. Because you might go and notice that there's a call, let's say at 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 o'clock. Actually, that's one of my main client times. Ironic. Let's say there's a call at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and it's a tarot call, but you just want a phone call. Or it's a phone call, but you wanted to add tarot. Just hit me up, let me know. Or let's say you're like, I can't do 3 to 4, but I need to do 3:15. Just let me know and we can move things around as needed. So I hope that's everything I was supposed to tell you. I didn't really prepare for that. So thank you so much, everybody. I will talk to you later. Peace. Okay, how do I? Ah, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Chappelle. Aw, thank you. Bye, Niecy.